Well, hello, this is Cindy. I hope you're having a good day. And today I'm going to do a blowout. I learned of this through one of the artists, fluid artists. Her name is Claire. And I have tried this out before. It's worked out really well, sometimes not so well. It just kind of, as I've shared, I'm still learning this whole process. But this will be a blowout, and I will just walk through the steps, and the colors I'm going to be using, they're going to vary. On the edges, I'm going to put the pearlized crystal blue. That's by a local business. I'm going to use the turquoise blue with Amsterdam, phthalo green by Liquitex, lemon yellow, I believe that one is by Liquitex, a white, yellow, green, orange, which is kind of an ivory, the deep violet with silver, vermilion through Amsterdam, the Viridian, crimson, and a violet. So I got some gloves. I picked them up from a local hardware store. I don't know if you've run into this, but my hands sweat profusely through these gloves, and once I take them off, I just kind of try to fold them over like this so to help them dry. And I use these probably, I'll change them out maybe every 10 paintings. Got my shop towels. I'll get a couple of those ready. I'll be using a one of these torches, butane torch, as well as my palette knife. And these little tools, I do not have the name of them yet, but I'll be using those today. What I'm going to start out with, and I'm kind of looking across the room at one of my blowouts, and I had blue on the edges. I'm going to do that again. I hope you can see this okay. And trying to cover it so that the edges are covered pretty well. This helps with the paint to flow. And this is the pearlized crystal blue. Okay, now I am all out of white, so I'm going to use the ivory that I created, and I think what I'll do is do kind of a base of that, not solid, but so that it helps to bring all the colors forward, because as you know, with the acrylics, they will darken up often. Okay, so what I did last time is on the center, I did a little bit. Now, I always forget to measure. So if we go this way, and then this way, I'm guessing, let's see, this, I believe that this would be the center. And I forget to do that, and then the center's off, and it just doesn't look right. Okay, I think that I need to drop it down just a little bit. I'm going to put the deep violet and silver on top of that. And what I'm going to do is just put rings and rings and rings of color, and then I'll blow it out in every direction. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is Okay, they got the deep violet, pearlized violet. I'm going to put a little bit of that around here. Doesn't have to be solid. And in keeping with that, let's see, I'll go ahead and do the orange. And I might get a little bit of mudding because some of these colors are going to mix and they are not going to be, they're not going to be palatable. Okay, so we've got that. So we've got the kind of the violet, purple, orange, red. I'm going to go around that with yellow. Again, yellow is very overpowering sometimes as well as orange. Okay, so for the yellow, I think from the yellow I'll go to green. And I'll go to aqua. Those are kind of all similar color schemes, or color schemes. Okay, from there I'm going to do the turquoise blue. And from the turquoise blue, I think I'm almost all the way through my colors. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in this pearlized blue so that it's also in the center of the painting, so that it kind of blends well with the corners. All right, so I believe I used everything so far, so I'm just going to begin again to go over that. I'm going to put a little more of the blue. Then I'll go with the purple. And sometimes I found it's good to put like a lighter color next to the dark colors. That helps them pop a little bit more. Okay, after purple, I will go to, let's see, what did I do last? Okay, I did the red. Just a little bit of red. I don't know that a lot of red is needed either. I'm going to bring in the magenta because I think the magenta would be a nice color to add here. I'm going to put a little bit in the center as well. All right, so I did the red, orange, and I'll go ahead and put a little bit of orange next to the vermilion, which I think is a really beautiful color. Kind of like persimmon. And from there I'll do a little tiny bit of yellow. From the yellow, I'll go to green. All right, so from the green to the aqua. I'm going to get the colors add a little more color at this point. Then to the turquoise blue. These are all very thin, and this is the Olga Soby recipe. Okay, and then from there, I'm back to the purple. Actually, I'm going to do the blue again, the crystal blue that I have at the edges, or at the corners. And then to the purple. Purple to violet silver. And violet silver to magenta. All right, so magenta, I could go to, because magenta's here at the outside. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go back to Viridian, just a tiny bit. I think we're getting close to the point where there's enough paint that'll cover the edges, but I want to be safe. And typically my problem is I don't put enough paint down, so I do run into that issue of it not reaching the edges here or the sides. Okay. I'm going to bring in the turquoise silver, it's a green blue. These are a lot of colors. Typically artists will maybe limit everything to about 3 to 5 colors, and I'm just kind of testing things out, as you've heard in some of my other videos, and we'll just kind of see how it goes. I'm in the learning stage for sure. Okay, there's a Prussian red, which is kind of like I don't know, looks like strawberry ice cream, cherry ice cream. So I'm going to put a little bit of that around here and in the center, and I'm going to dab a little of that also over the purple and the magenta, because those can be very strong colors. I want to break that up, because typically what happens when I do that is the center is just one solid color. So I want to avoid that. And I think I need to put in a little more, just a little bit more of the vermilion on top of the red, because that is a very strong color and I don't want it to overpower the painting. And just to be safe, I'm going to put a little bit of the ivory over the red as well. Now that might make this a little more like pastel colors, but I just don't want any color to fully overwhelm the painting. I usually put all the lids back just to ensure they're closed, and especially if they fall over. I don't want that to happen. Okay. All right, so the next step is to use my torch and to see if I can get rid of any bubbles. I did shake these last night, these colors, just so that by the time I work on a painting, they are less likely to have a lot of bubbles. And that was about 12 hours ago. All right, at this point, I only see something that looks like dried paint. Let's see. Okay, that went away. That was just an air bubble. And it's a good idea to look and see as early as you can, is there anything standing out from the canvas that appears to be some sort of dried paint. And that can happen, you know, with the bottles. It could be that paint on the edge is dried and it fell into the bottle, or it came out as you were pouring it. So that's a good thing to do. And again, sometimes I find something that looks like dry paint after I've done the painting, and sometimes it can mess up the design a little bit. So that's why it's a good idea to check early on for that. And I'm going to go ahead also and put in just a drop of the ivory in the middle. Again, I'm going to blow dry. I'm going to put it on hot. Actually, I'm going to try first to put it on low, because this is the consistency is very fluid, kind of like milk. So I don't want it splashing all over me or all over my floor. Even though I do have a paint tarp on the floor and I've got this little puppy pad, this stuff goes far. So it can fly quite a ways. So I'm going to start with small, or on low with my blow dryer, and also I'm going to keep it on cool. Okay, so I see that the light's a little bit in the way. Let me see if I can adjust that. Let's see. Maybe not. Okay, that light is going to be there. Okay, so we can see that this is a little heavy there. And that's typically what happens. I'm not sure if I'm just not using enough, if I'm not starting in the center to blow it out. There's a couple things I can do. Right now, I think it looks really good. Some of the edges are not covered, and I'm not real thrilled with that, but I can dab it and see if that works. But for the center, I can leave it as it is, or I can add a little more color and blow that out, just semi-blow it out so that there's more of a look of a flower. And as much as I like how it is, I think actually I'm going to leave it as it is. I'm going to use this tool to move, to create some lines and some different lines of interest. I'm going to use the smaller one because last time the lines were so heavy. It's just very lightly drawing lines through the paint, trying not to go so deep that you get the white from the canvas. And that one. All right, I think that's going to be good. And what I'll do after this is just dab the sides. And what you can do is whatever drops on the puppy pad or liner, whatever you might be using, you can pick that up and use that to dab the sides. Because there's a little bit of a design with what drops, and that should work just fine. It's good to kind of go right beneath where the drops, where the paint dropped, use that to apply it to the edges. Actually, not the edges, the sides. I'm pretty happy with this. I like the colors. I think there's some interesting cells. Okay. Now the one thing, sometimes when you use a base layer or paints that are not opaque, it might be harder to completely cover the sides. And I'm having a little trouble with that right now. I don't want the canvas or the weave of the canvas showing through. I'm going to go underneath and kind of take off any extra paint. I could blow it again, but I really like what I have as far as the cells, so I'm not going to blow on it. I'm not going to put the blow dryer on it anymore. There's times where I'll get my paint bottle and I'll just go, okay, that's a certain color of blue, so I get that paint bottle and I use that to drip paint onto that particular edge. Here it's really white, and I'm going to blow over that just to see if I can blow some of that off. Okay, that worked well. I'm going to do the same here. All right, so it's best to kind of get that frame, kind of put the fingers on the frame and move it around so that it's easier to see what might be, what I may need to cover up. When you're cleaning the sides, if you're also just beginning with fluid art, as you clean the frame part, you want to make sure you're not cleaning also the side off, because what I found sometimes I'm taking too much paint off, so the paint on the side has come off through my cleanup process. And this canvas is a 14 by 14. I got it from Michael's. And what else? I'm gonna do this one more time. Okay. And just one final torch. This one has a lock, but it also has an unlock button right here, and that I sometimes hit that accidentally. Now I've got the flame about 1 inch or 2 above the paint itself. If the bubble's not going anywhere, I might get a little bit closer, but also because I have the puppy pad and that's part paper, I have to be super careful to not catch that on fire. I do have a fire extinguisher close by, just in case. All right, so it looks like this may have moved a little bit. This is the final, and I'm really happy with it. I'm gonna just real quick. All right, I'm gonna show kind of the close-up. And I am hovering over, so this is not going to be a real steady shot. Kind of seems to go on forever. As you see, the red definitely can overtake the whole canvas, so it's good to go light on the red, light on the yellow, and light on the orange, as well as light on the white. Okay, well, hey, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you are doing well, and I wish you a great day. Take care.